This is slide 9, our last slide in the Industrial Revolution unit here on union growth. We talked in our last slide about the beginnings of unions. Let's see how they continue to grow here. We said that the biggest weapon the union has is a strike. So let's talk about a big one here. In Pullman, Illinois. Okay? We talked about Pullman and his company town. Well, Pullman wants to pay his workers even less because it turns out they're buying too much with their company money, and he has to keep buying things to put in his stores, so he starts paying them less. And his workers go on strike. Now, Pullman, again, makes almost all the train cars for the United States. And when the workers in Pullman go on strike, they are supported by every other railroad worker in the United States. And the entire railroad industry of the United States comes to a grinding halt. It shuts down. Right? So owners of companies can't ship their goods. The mail can't get moved. The country comes to a stop, basically. So company owners go to their governors, their congressmen, and say, you got to do something about this. Right? So the government, it's a brilliant plan here. The government goes to the workers in Pullman, Illinois. In fact, all the railroad workers. They tell all the railroad workers in the United States, either you go back to jail or you're going to federal prison. We're not talking, the local little lockup here. This is big boy jail, federal prison. Now, you can't just threaten to throw somebody and then actually throw them into federal prison without a reason. Right? And the reason they came up with was brilliant. Okay? They said that the railroad workers were committing a federal crime by not running the trains. And you'll never guess what the federal crime was. So I'll just tell you. Not that you could guess right now and me tell you if you're right or wrong anyway, but I'm going to assume you won't guess it, so I will just tell you. The railroad workers of America were interfering with the delivery of the U.S. mail. It is a federal crime to interfere with the delivery of the U.S. mail, still today. And by shutting down the trains, mail was not getting delivered. So when threatened with going to federal prison, the railroad workers of America told their fellow railroad workers in Pullman, good luck, but we're going back to work. And when the railroad workers in Pullman no longer had the support of the rest of the country, their strike collapsed. Pullman will win his fight here. As we said a while ago in the previous slide, courts are going to decide in favor of the companies, always, up to this point. Right? The workers are just out of luck. Right? Now, the Knights become involved in a series of terrible strikes, okay? And at the forefront was Chicago, home to about 80,000 Knights in the Knights of Labor, okay? And a few hundred anarchists. Now, an anarchist is somebody who doesn't believe in, excuse me, any form of government. It's not that they just don't like the one we have. They don't believe in any form of government. So they're always looking to stir up trouble. There is a meeting of strikers, a peaceful meeting of strikers going on in what's known as Haymarket Square. It's like downtown Chicago, a big public gathering place. Right? It is a peaceful meeting of strikers when police arrive to sort of just keep an eye on things, and so do some anarchists who are looking to cause some trouble between the strikers and the police officers. One of the anarchists from the middle of the strikers here, the crowd, throws a little homemade bomb toward police officers. The bomb goes off. 7 policemen were killed, and police opened fire on the crowd. At least 4 civilians were killed. Many more wounded. And Haymarket Square turns into a riot. Okay? Now, this happens more and more often around the country. And at the center of it always are the Knights of Labor. And whether they're guilty or not, the Knights of Labor start to get associated with violence in these strikes. The Knights get blamed for the riots. And that will eventually lead to the end of the Knights of Labor. Night Falls. Yeah, catchy little title there, huh? Got a little pun going on. Night Falls. Okay. The Knights, remember, took in both skilled and unskilled laborers. The skilled laborers within the Knights of Labor blame the unskilled laborers for all the violence. It's those crazy uneducated people over there. It's not us people that have educations and learned a trade. It's those uneducated immigrants over there, those factory workers. They're the ones that always resort to violence. They're the ones starting the trouble. So the skilled labor in the Knights of Labor will leave to form their own union. So the skilled laborers in the Knights of Labor leave and form the AFL. You see the picture up here, the American Federation of Labor. Certificate of Affiliation. Okay. The American Federation of Labor, the AFL, still around today, very powerful union. The AFL was founded by a man named Samuel Gompers. Fun name there. And here's Samuel right there in the middle of the page. There's Samuel Gompers, who founds the American Federation of Labor. Now, unlike the Knights of Labor, who didn't believe in capitalism, they wanted the owners to own everything and all this and that. Gompers says, we don't have a problem with capitalism. Fine. If you rich people want to own the companies, the factories, all of that, great, fine, wonderful. You got money, that's fine. You own the factories. He says, we don't have a problem with capitalism. We just want a bigger piece of the pie, is all. We'd like a bigger share of the profits. We're not trying to overthrow the government. We're not trying to overthrow your company. We'll work for you. You own it. We'll work. We just want a bigger share, a bigger piece of the pie. So you see the little political cartoon here at the bottom. It says, in 1881, Gompers organized the American Federation of Labor. Constant policy was to promote industrial arbitration and cooperation between capital and labor. Capital is the owner, labor is the worker. Okay? And you see Gompers there preaching, our first concern is the welfare of the worker. We do not seek the overthrow of our employers, but we demand equal rights as partners in industry. Okay? So we're all behind capitalism, fine. We'd just like to see a little more of it coming our way. Right? Now, one of the ways they're going to do that is through what's called the closed shop. And in a closed shop system, a state would adopt closed shop laws. A state could decide it's going to be a closed shop state. And that means that employers are only allowed to hire union members. If you're going to hire somebody, they have to be a member of a union for whatever industry you're in. Right? Now, the opposite of that would be an open shop, where employers can hire anybody they want to. And each state would decide whether they wanted closed shop laws or open shop laws. Obviously, the unions favor a closed shop because it gives them a lot more power. Now, one of the things that the unions do have going for them here is that by the time we get to the late 1800s, by 1900 or so, public opinion has flipped on them. It's become more and more well known about the conditions in the factories, that workers are being taken advantage of and all that. And the public has started to support the workers and their rights. Right? And to make that very well known and very visible, in 1894, Labor Day was made a legal holiday to honor the workers of this country. Okay? So, that finishes our Industrial Revolution unit. All these new inventions, the move toward machine-made goods at the expense of the workers. Our next unit will set out to fix the problems caused by the Industrial Revolution. See you then.